Thank you, everybody. So, and thank you for the introduction. Actually, yes, this my talk today focuses on the rise of feminist activism in post-revolutionary Tunisia, from individual to collective action, and that expanded also its borders beyond, the small region. Well, when I was, presenting, thinking which paper to present among the different subjects that I was analyzing for my PhD research, two words were like capturing my attention: is transnationalism and emotion, words in motion. So what that means. Well, before to start, just a couple of words about myself. I wish to position myself in that region, and then we will talk about religion, because religion, in a world where spheres of influences are changing, is a concept. So, or at least it appears to me to be a concept. So I've been working and living as an activist, as a gender specialist, and then now as a researcher in that region. And this is why I allow myself to talk about Tunisian feminist activists in their absence today. So I will present 4 case studies. If I have time, I will try to stick in the half an hour because we're all tired. 4 case studies, 2 individual case studies and 2 collective. I will look at them from a historical perspective, because I'm trying to become a historian in all of this. Trying to draw connection between the inventive expansion of subjective identities and territories as forms of resistance to biopolitical control of bodies and as resistance to authoritarianism. So I will try to examine key messages that such subjectivities create in these years, such as feminist aesthetics of existence, and of course intersectionality, transnationalism, decoloniality, and the construction of safe spaces in the digital world. So the Tunisian revolution against the Ben Ali regime began officially, but it began before, on 14th January 2011. Is seen by feminist activists as an event that has liberated bodies in the space and subjectivities in the space. So until then, through censorship and self-censorship, the public space was, we could say, deserted of creation. Serving the political propaganda and what the Tunisian called the Ben Alian dictatorial regime. And so in that moment, art as an engine for social change was definitely set in motion. So from there, it seems that they didn't really stop. And what happened, I'm sorry, because the computer, I'm not used to this computer, what happened is that the street art, actions for and in the street, as a critical approach and as an aesthetic dimension took place. And for the first time, it was very gendered, meaning that the gendered bodies really took the streets protesting against the system and were also portrayed all around. So we can see, appearing images of women in a totally different way that was obviously portrayed before on the walls, so in the street, because a new let's say, also affirming new forms of citizenship in the space was being created through forms of arts that, for Tunisia was a novelty, the street art. Okay, this is a famous graffiti, and Azeda means me too. So this is one of the last one, and this is one that is still resisting because the others that I showed before have been cancelled. Okay, have been deleted from the walls, and this shows the authoritarianism, but also in terms of not only in terms of street art, but also in terms of other forms of art, like music, for example. And here I wanted you to listen to the beautiful voice of Mary Magnussi. Sorry. And it was also very special the way she started singing in the street, and since then she's called the voice of the revolution. So it's very symbolic that her words, she started just like singing in the street, and then she created this song that is Kelmeti Horra, which means my word is free. So, well, sorry. You want to listen to it all the time? I was saying that okay, if you want to start, no, it's fine, it's fine. It's beautiful. Yeah. I can send you a link. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. But I can continue. Just to tell me stop and I go on. Fine.
A verse and music composed by a singer.
Yeah. Okay, so from that moment, what happened in Tunisia is that really feminists invaded the streets and the walls in a way that was not, as I said, done before, and beings became really visual. So here we see a woman appearing on a destroyed house in the south of the country. Here we see a typical Tunisian farmer with the typical guise of a farmer, and they, of course, they are the most neglected and at the very bottom of the production chain. And here, it's written, "You suffocated us." And they are also very instrumentalized when it's about, this, nationalist feminists that want to protect them, but in reality they don't really change their condition, their situation. And here we see a woman that is portrayed as setting herself free. Is very symbolic because she's wearing the Tunisian flag, and again at the bottom is written Horiya, which means freedom. And the last, going towards this recent years, many Tunisian feminist activists started to work in the digital world, claiming it back and trying also to dislocate in that world this heteronormative and ableist system and realities. This artist is Orfa Dababi, and she is a person with special needs, as she says, queer as she defines herself, and digital activist. The first case I wanted to bring to you today, and really these are cases that I just collected, I did not yet really investigate them completely, but this was a first research I did in April and beginning of May. So this is Super Tunisia. Super Tunisian is a performance, and of course it became a character by Matilda Pedila that she did in the aftermath of the speech of Ben Ali when he was, deposed, and she's like proposing this character that is not born in Hollywood, not in Europe. So in this sense, what is decolonial? I'm trying to understand through the practices and of course through what they tell me, because of course it needs context. Context is important. And she says, for example, today, faced with unrealistic proposals from the political parties and the transitional government that do not respond to the wishes of the Tunisian people, the Super Tunisian is back to decide its political future. So here she's using the langue de bois, language, which was very typical of many political classes, and very typical of that one. And she says the Super Tunisian are super strength because she's able to exceed all the political poles and to establish a super country. She has supervision to anticipate the invisible attacks of the obscurantism in every impasse. She has super speed, which allows her to exceed the rented cars which hung in the middle of the night. This was, the défilé of cars of these politicians soon after their speeches, and typically at night they were passing, announcing, their presence. And she has a super memory, which allows her to remember the repression of the glorious past, to speak about all the future. So vote for the Super Tunisian. She became very popular, and definitely she put a stone, in the heavy piece of the feminist political art. In fact, you can see these children there at the bottom holding the sign, Super Tunisian. So everybody was a Super Tunisian at that time. Another artist, which is pretty known and fantastic, I wanted to bring you today, is Willis from Tunis, aka Nadia Chiari. She's a cartoonist, and she's a professor also at university. And it was interesting to me to analyze her, her motion towards, being first creating a character that would chronicle the revolution, and that tomcat there, so Willis from Tunis. And then with the years passing, becoming more and more attentive to the condition of women, so telling about women, to the point that the tomcat changed her, guise and became, she portrayed also as a woman. And you can see there at the top saying, dividing for ruling better, femme soumise, which means, women, how you say that, submitting submissive woman, and the other telling the other outraged woman, while the two men are in the coffee shop ordering the women to bring them a coffee. So this was also because during the revolution, feminists were diabolisés. So they were very much, pointed out as, the crazy women who wanted all, and there was this, fight with, especially with Muslim women. So this is like the passage from Willis. So she started really, doing her cartoons, and her art was really depicting the social situation where in Tunisia, where artists, where people were going, tourists were going, taking selfie, everything was okay, while in the back you can see the fire, which represents the dozens of people who immolated themselves, not only Muhammad Bouaziz, who was the one who in December set himself on fire, but dozens really of people up to today, and nobody talks about them anymore. So she also created, this Manuel du Parfait Dictateur. It's the handbook of the perfect dictator. Is where art and satire emerged for the first time in the public space, and by her, so by a woman, which was, and this, in my opinion, very important. And then, as I said before, she started. This is 2015. So she started portraying more and more women's social situation, also because the revolution was something. And I was there, and it was understood like, okay, we're going to be finally happy and equal, everybody. And then, they realized that for women that there was still a very long way to go. So, yeah. And now Willis from Tunis is very much enraged against machismo and continues on this path. Another, the third case is Shuk minorities. This is a collective, so it's a group, and they created, started this festival, the International Festival of Feminist Art from Tunis, which is quite important. It was a quite important festival. Shukthon means I've seen them. Them meaning people having, different sexualities, sexual orientation, characteristics, etc. But they focus very much on women who were born as women and those who identify themselves as women. And the festival was created to give women, artist women, more space because, because they hadn't. So here is a small video, so to show to you what they do. If I can activate it, no, only like this. I'm not sure that this. Okay, let's go in YouTube because of the sound. Ah, yeah, that's fine. So what is interesting of this festival is that it's international, and then it was translation.
Chambre
Oh,
noire,
sorry.
lumière rouge.
Not having. So it's international, so it brought really together women and women and other people from really a lot of countries. This group is also known as they organize and in the variation called Shubtona Mawjudin. Mawjudin means we are there, we are present, we exist. Okay, so they do this to bring people's attention to the fact that different genders, sexualities, sexual orientations, identities exist, are in the society. So the fact that you deny their existence does not prevent them from existing, and so deal with your community. This is what they do, and they do it also through visual art and street art, and through the fight against Article 230 of the Tunisian Penal Code, which is sadly also called Tunisia Sodomy Law. And also in this, I saw the decolonial, practice in the fact that they say that this penal code is a relic of colonialism, because it was, the penal code, this penal code, it was imposed, this penal code is the result of the 1913 penal code, which was done under the French mandate. So it's interesting, this also if, in Islam, sodomy is forbidden, but Tunisia is not an Islamic country in terms that it never had the Sharia as a law, although today, and to go to the authoritarianism in the new constitution, there is an article that opens to Sharia. So it's a very complicated moment for Tunisians. One perhaps of the most important in terms of visual art that the collective Shubtona did is this graffiti, which dominated really Garibaldi Street in the Tunis city center. And it's symbolically very important because it's an act of sorority, between the two activists. So one saying, so this flame is for your spirit, and the other say, I'm listening to you. And what is interesting is that at the bottom, you don't see it very well, but there are all vulvas, painted on the wall, which is a revolutionary act for such a country, because then, Tunisia is, maybe, well, as the local narrative and the international narrative also saying is more advanced, let's put it in between many, many brackets, but, this kind of things are were really very strong. So it was, important, and I just gave a few seconds because you will see what happened to this graffiti. And actually, I was also there when this happened. It was deleted, also this one. You can see that, and this is very recent. It's last March, the 14th of March, this happened. And it happened by hand of the director of the Catrema, that is, it's a theater, it's a point of reference for activists in Tunis. So, it was just like not understandable, if not with the fact that with this kind of climate that is appearing, he just wanted to get rid of this imponent but not popular or for the Tunisian right-wing and traditionalist parties. So this is what happened, and in this moment we're very worried because just this can open, ways to other forms of abuse. The last case I bring to you today is Femina. So they call themselves MENA, Middle East and North Africa, which is interesting. And also in Arabic, you say shakalauta. So I also question, but I will try to study more on this subject, because I also think that, sometimes these definitions are not endogenous as well. So they define themselves as a movement of transnational and intersectional and network of female and gender minorities, talents and artists from the MENA region and beyond, with decolonized narratives hidden in our societies that reinforce discriminatory processes. So this is their manifesto. And what they do. They started this very interesting project, the DJ Academy for Girls. So the DJ world is notoriously male-dominated. In Tunisia, it was totally male-dominated. And they cooperated also with Palestinians, for example, where there is Sana Ben Ashur, I think is her family name. She is a DJ quite known and very inspirational. And they reached 500 girls, also in Morocco, in Egypt, in Mali, so they did a lot of work. They work on digital art, podcasts, storytelling. They do this Feminist festival. And what is interesting is that, their objective, it was taking the night, because the night space was very attacked recently. And the night space is the space where women, if they cannot move safely, anywhere. So they wanted to take back the night. And they work for migrant and minorities. So I don't know if you are aware of that, but recently in Tunisia there was a very racist wave. So that started last year with this President Said doing very strong, strongly condemning the sub-Saharan Africans for stealing the work, using all these kind of rhetoric, discourses that the extreme right wing do everywhere, and it's interesting, because feminist groups and feminist activists also started to work with migrant communities. So Tunisia is one of the countries where European borders are externalized more and more. Right. So this, and then when we talk about the work of the IOM and all these organizations and how they're doing there, so it's there is a matter of very racist politics going on there. And it's interesting, this project, Creative Unlimited, that is a research project, because in Tunisia, if I'm not wrong, really most part of migrants are there for studying. So Tunisia was always a country producing cinema, for example. So many, it attracts many people from the French-speaking Africa who go there to study. So there is a lot of richness in terms of creative possibilities, and they started this project to co-author and so to do collective artwork with migrants. So this, it's quoted from these interviews that I had with the Femina activists. So I asked them what they think transnationality is. Yeah. And they told me this: it's to propose a new feminist narrative that uses the power of art and new technologies to create a platform of solidarity and sorority. What is decoloniality in their context? Yeah, And they told me this, to change the narrative and dynamics of partnership and collaboration. They told me South-South cooperation is not an obvious option. And then I don't want to open a big parenthesis on this because it's a complex subject, but they're thinking of partners other than French because of the history of the colonial history, but also because of a still existing anchorage, I mean, a still existing top-down relationship that are undeniable, and you know, it's a, well, also, I mean, in my observation, I mean, this still unfortunately exists. What is intersectionality? You know, it's something that is very similar to wherever what they think. So it's thinking to the different layers of inequality, ethnicity, social and socioeconomic background, and non-binary and gender fluid identities, and what it means building safe spaces in the digital world. Because these people are using the technologies also in terms of, you know, using the metaverse, you know, producing with AI, artificial intelligence. So, I mean, what it means? It means that, you know, digital space, we thought that digital world could be a better or safer space for gender equality, but actually it's not like that. If there are gender, societal, and economic inequalities so at the base. So they produce podcasts on how to protect themselves from cyber violence. I will stop here. Voilà.